Hi guys, welcome to another video. Today I'll do the top 10 best Michael Keaton movies. He's one of my favorite actors of all time. I feel he's a bit underrated, and I just love his erratic type of performances. So sit back, relax, and let the show begin. Number 10 is The Dream Team. Released in 1989 and directed by Howard Zayef, this wasn't a big hit, but it's a fun, wild 80s comedy. It's got an excellent cast with Michael Keaton, Christopher Lloyd, Peter Boyle, and Stephen Furst, who play mental patients that don't get along at all. So their psychologist takes them on a field trip, but unfortunately goes missing while taking a rest stop, and the patients are left wondering what to do. So they just bumble around New York City, getting into all kinds of situations. It's a funny, cheesy 80s comedy, and Michael Keaton's hair is phenomenal in this film. Number 9 is One Good Cop. Released in 1991 and directed by Haywood Gould, this is another film that didn't do well at the box office, but it's a good little hidden gem. Keaton plays a cop, and when his partner, played by Anthony LaPaglia, is killed, Keaton and his wife, played by Renee Russo, take his 3 daughters in. Keaton gives a great performance, and I enjoyed the New York City filming locations. Check this one out if you like early 90s cop movies. Number 8 is The Paper. Released in 1994 and directed by Ron Howard, who's directed many great films, my favorite of his being Backdraft. I love that movie so much. The Paper is a fun, chaotic movie about an editor played by Keaton who is about to run a story that would convict 2 wrongfully accused men of murder. It's got a great cast including Glenn Close, Randy Quaid, Marissa Tomei, and Robert Duvall. I love the look of this movie. I always love scenes high up on a tall building, and scenes inside the printing factory are just so fascinating to me. This is a fun film that you should see. Number 7 is Jackie Brown. Released in 1997 and directed by Quentin Tarantino. I love pretty much any Tarantino film, and I've always loved Jackie Brown. The only reason I place this at 7 is because Keaton isn't the outright star of the film. But I love his performance in this. Keaton's scenes and De Niro scenes are 2 of the main reasons why I love this movie so much. Keaton and his partner are great when they're interrogating Jackie Brown. It's just such a fantastic film with a huge, amazing cast. And if you weren't a fan of Keaton, you might forget he's in the movie, then be pleasantly surprised when he nails his scenes. Number 6 is The Founder. Released in 2016 and directed by John Lee Hancock. You won't usually see newer movies on my list, but The Founder is awesome. After I watched it, I told myself that Keaton is back, baby. I always loved Michael Keaton movies, but he didn't have the same type of energy in a lot of his films in the 2000s. But in The Founder, he kills it. It's about the story of the real founders of McDonald's and how their business was stolen from them by Michael Keaton's character. I love the 50s style and the filming locations. It's one of the better newer movies for sure. Number 5 is Pacific Heights. Released in 1990 and directed by John Schlesinger. I love Pacific Heights. It's a great hidden gem about a landlord's worst nightmare. Matthew Modine and Melanie Griffith rent out an apartment to Keaton, who at first seems decent and successful, but as time passes, he starts to terrorize the homeowners. It's just such a fun Keaton film with a great performance, and I love the San Francisco Pacific Heights filming location. This is a great thriller. Check this one out, guys. Number 4 is Desperate Measures. Released in 1998 and directed by Barbette Schroeder, who also made another favorite of mine, Barfly. Desperate Measures is awesome. I had a blast seeing this in theaters when I was younger, and I still love it today. Keaton plays a vicious convict, and when Andy Garcia finds out he's compatible with his dying son for a bone marrow transplant, he pleads with Keaton to agree to do it. He agrees, but he has only one thing on his mind, that's escaping. Keaton is so much fun to watch in this film. This is a must-see for fans of Michael Keaton. Number 3 is Batman. Released in 1989 and directed by Tim Burton, this was a blockbuster. But when the fans found out Burton casted Keaton to play Batman, everyone was furious. They just couldn't picture Mr. Mom as Batman. But Burton casted him for his eyes. It was the way he looked in the Batsuit that was most important. And after Jack Nicholson signed on, people had a little more faith. And it's extremely rare for the main hero of the film to not get top billing. But when you have a Jack Nicholson on board, his name always comes first. Batman is amazing. It's still my favorite Batman film today. And when Keaton didn't return for part 3, all the fans who didn't want him as Batman to begin with quickly changed their tune. Keaton is still the number 1 Batman of all time. Number 2 is Beetlejuice. Released in 1988 and directed by Tim Burton. This is such a classic. Keaton's energy is amazing. Alec Baldwin recently talked about Keaton's performance in Beetlejuice, and he just couldn't believe how talented he was. He said he came up with so many things that weren't scripted that were just genius. Beetlejuice is a blast. When Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis die, they return home not knowing they're dead. So when new people move in, they enlist the help of Beetlejuice, but he causes way more problems than he solves. It's got a great all-around cast. This one is a childhood favorite of mine. Number 1 is Clean and Sober. Released in 1988 and directed by Glenn Caron, Keaton gives a top-notch performance about a guy who's struggling with drugs and alcohol. He also stole money from his work, and a woman he spent the night with had OD'd and died. He's just in a no-win situation. So to buy time, he checks into a rehabilitation clinic run by Morgan Freeman's character, and he tries to figure out what to do next. His performance is Oscar-worthy, and although Tim Burton worked with Keaton on Beetlejuice, it was this role that convinced Burton to hire him for Batman, and the rest is history. Clean and Sober is phenomenal. Anyway, so that's the list, guys. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.
I don't wanna take it anymore. I'll just lay here locked behind the door. Just no time to stop and get away. 'Cause I work so hard to make it every day.
Nah, man, that ain't me. I'm from Buffalo.